found, you know, geez, we wish we had more descriptors, so we're thinking they move beyond description.
Yeah.
And weren't quite at explorative yet. So what we were thinking was that the question could be something along the lines of recognizing now that you have these biases of your own, that you tried to claim you were non-judgmental. Can you reflect back on that interaction, and what would you do or say differently to address this on both sides?
Great. Good. Good, good. And then you could go on and maybe ask this learner also to reflect on other situations where she or he has been in a different setting, and what has happened in that instance. Have they moved some from where they'd had a situation like this in the past? Yes, and you might ask them to speak a little bit more about the descriptive piece that leads down to the interpretation. It doesn't matter if they're beginning to get to an interpretive stage. You can ask them to do a little more description. Okay, good. And this one is okay. The front table. One concern I have is that, and I'll be regarded as outsiders by the community. Both white women from Harvard, who almost definitely stick out in the Children's Center, want to try to convey a feeling of respect and partnership with the community and not come off as an outsider. What did you think about that one, and what would be a question that you would ask to push them a little further?
We would first ask a question about outsiders.
Everybody here?
We would first ask a question about outsiders.
Uh-huh.
If I may preface my comments with a procedure I have found effective, and that is a blank sheet of paper and a pencil. So in any discussion about the situation, we are, again, drawing some type of schematic, seeing the thinking, so we have a record, always having a record of this conversation. I often have duplicate paper, so they can take one and I can keep one. And it works very well. One goes into a folder that I have, they take theirs. There's a record of the discussion. So if you can picture some type of flowchart diagram, outsiders on one piece, and let's discuss that, their position on being viewed as outsiders, why do they hold that position? Secondly, convey a feeling of respect and partnership. How can that be done? So we would ask some probing questions about feelings of respect. How can that be established as an outsider? What are some strategies, approaches, what's on your mind? And secondly, partnership with the community, same kind of thing.
Good.
Because the object is not to eliminate the outsider piece.
Right, right.
But again,
you will always be someone from another community.
Correct.
You do not live in and abide with this community. Yes.
And in essence, through the discussion, helping them develop at least, if not a plan of action, some sense of comfort and finding an approach to it.
Yeah, because even though these students will never probably not be an outsider in this Children's Center, it doesn't mean they can't connect. It doesn't mean they can't have empathy. It doesn't mean they can't build friendships. You can still come from a different community and have those things happen.
I would briefly say this speaks to a situation many of my students find themselves in that they come from more often a very privileged background, and they are going down to Kids Cafe in Manchester in the evening to share dinner with students, with the children from the community. So there's a community partnership, and they have to make this connection.
Yeah,
so
it's terrific that this student, I think, has landed on this issue of respect, because it's what we hear over and over from people is, I just want to be treated with respect. It's important wherever you are in the social hierarchy. And not moving. What did I do wrong? So the long one, magic. I'm just going to read a few highlights of this. The neighborhood has been a site of increasing violence and murder. I've become to be more fearful going to the school. The bus that I take had a shooting in the middle of the day. I could have been on that bus. I've learned so much from these short rides. Now I drive to the school. I hesitate when I park. all the fears that are here. And yet I have encountered no violence, no guns, no break-ins. What keeps me going with a few ounces of courage is the fact that these students live in this fear every day. They can't return to a different place at the end of the day. So if I walk around in fear, I'm only adding to the negative energy of the community's environment. I'm making it worse. I applaud the teachers of the school who've chosen to live in the community. They're the ones that are justified in being fearful of the rise in violence. So I'm attempting to hold my head high and walk like I once did, being smart and cautious, but not to the point where it will my limit ability to learn and to help. So the augmented table back here. A comment or two.
The table felt that this student was, had gone up the pyramid
Yeah.
to the level of directive and decided what she or he was going to do. We then talked about the issue of violence in settings where students are doing internships and that they are sponsored by schools.
Yeah.
And what responsibility does a supervisor or mentor have? If I got something like this from one of my undergraduate students, I would say, whoa.
Yeah, liability is all, it's
Yeah.
red lights all over the place.
Exactly. And this seems like an extreme kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think, particularly thinking about social work, where we have a real commitment to working with people who are on the margins and in poverty and situations like this. These are the places that we need to be. And
Right.
how do you
Right.
assess where the line
Yeah,
is?
they
With
would.
a student,
Yeah.
one of the things we would ask is, what are your ideas about how to manage your anxiety? When you say being smart and cautious, have you thought about or talked with others
Yes.
about what the
Yes.
things they are that they do?
Right. Right, how do I learn to navigate this environment
Right.
without looking like I'm fearful of it? And then one of the other questions for external might be, what does an environment like this mean for policy? What should we be doing at policy level? Lots more, obviously, we could talk about with all these. You jumped right to that administrative piece, which is impossible not to. Yikes, what do I do with a student who may be in a dangerous situation? I don't want to be putting them there. I hope lunch is right in this room, right, Ann? It's out and in.
We're ready.
Yeah, and I know you're ready. We've run over. Sorry, and we'd like to ask you to shave just maybe 5 minutes off of the lunchtime and come back by 1:10. So we'll finish up in the last 55 minutes, or 50 minutes, 1:10, and we'll be done by 2. Thanks.